We all know the thrill of stumbling upon a forgotten relic of the past. But what you might not know are some of the world's mysterious locations that have been left to rot for strange reasons. And in today's video, we'll take you to 10 such mysterious abandoned places around the world that'll leave you with more questions than answers. First, we take you to Okpo Land, South Korea, or what's left of it anyway. Back in the 90s, this place was hopping with families and kids enjoying the rides. But dark clouds were lurking just beneath the surface. In the late 90s, a girl tragically lost her life on one of the duck-themed roller coasters. The crazy thing is, someone else had already died on that same ride earlier in the decade. After the second death, the owners just dipped, poof, gone without a trace. And that's when things got really creepy. Over the next decade, nature slowly reclaimed the abandoned park. Rides and attractions fell into disrepair as vines and moss grew all over. Locals said it was haunted by the ghosts of those who died. The land sat abandoned, gathering dust until 2011, when the demolition crew finally rolled in. But even after all these years, nothing has been built to replace the haunted, decaying park. Next up, we've got the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philly. Back in the day, this joint was home to none other than the notorious Al Capone himself. Can you believe they kept that dude in a luxury cell there? Anyway, now it's totally abandoned. I'm talking crumbling walls, rusted barbed wire, the whole creepy vibe. But they still allow you to tour the place every day from 10 to 5. And my friends, you do not want to miss it. On top of learning about the history of prisons, they've got some insane art installations. Oh, and from mid-September to Halloween, it becomes the sickest haunted house ever. I'm telling you, this place will give you chills. Just wait till you see the old solitary cells. Now let's take you to the abandoned amusement park in Pripyat, Ukraine. I'm sure you guys have heard of Chernobyl, right? Well, Pripyat was the city right next to it. The crazy thing is, the park there was supposed to open for some huge celebration on May 1st, 1986. The only problem was the nuclear disaster at Chernobyl happened just a few days before, on April 26th. And according to some reports, officials opened the park early to keep residents busy before evacuation orders were given. When they finally gave the evacuation order, everyone dipped out so fast that they left all their stuff. Now, almost 35 years later, it's literally a ghost town. Since then, the abandoned Ferris wheel has become a symbol of the ill-fated town. The island of Gunkanjima in Japan is one uncharacteristic abandoned place. Back in the day, they used to mine coal here, and thanks to the shape of the island, when viewed from the side, they nicknamed it Battleship Island. In its prime, over 5,000 people lived crammed into this tiny 16-acre space. But once the coal ran out, they shut the mines down for good. Now, the whole island is totally abandoned, except for packs of hawks circling the rusty skeletons of old buildings. Oh, and you might recognize it from that James Bond movie Skyfall. They used it as the villain's lair. It's insane to see it in person. It's a good thing they give tours from Nagasaki Harbor now with safety railings and paths, because who knows what you might find creeping around those crumbling structures. It's definitely worth checking out if you're in Japan. Next up, we've got the creepy Poveglia Island near Venice, Italy, where they don't let anyone into this place because it's considered one of the most haunted spots in the entire country. For centuries, they shipped all the sick people there during plagues to quarantine them, and later it became an insane asylum. Rumor has it the ashes of over 160,000 dead bodies were buried there, so almost half the freaking island is made of human remains. No wonder people claim it's swarmed with ghosts. And just getting there on a boat through the canals gives me chills. The locals say the whole lagoon around it is haunted too. I mean, just look at the drone footage of the crumbling buildings. The incredible overgrown ghost town of Hutuwan in China on Shengshan Island used to be hopping, with around 3,000 people and a thriving fishing industry. Then, in the 90s, everyone just kind of faded away because it was so remote. It's now been abandoned for over 20 years. Can you believe the crazy vines and plants have almost completely taken over? It's like a scene out of Jurassic Park or something. Though it's an epic place to explore, they warn you to steer clear of the structures because who knows how stable they are after all this time. Definitely put this magical forgotten town on your travel list if you're ever in China. Just be careful of overhanging vines sneaking up on you in the jungle. Next, we've got the super bizarre abandoned town of Burj Al Babas in Turkey. They started building almost 750 identical castles here in 2014, each with turrets, balconies, and fancy white stones. The crazy part is, they were trying to make it this huge vacation spot with theaters, bars, and Turkish baths. The houses were going to sell for around $500,000 each. Then, in 2018, the Turkish economy tanked. And just like that, the whole $200 million project collapsed, and everyone had to leave. Now, all that's left are hundreds of these identical, perfectly built castles just sitting there, empty in the sun. It's like a fairy tale gone wrong. Maybe one day, some rich dude will come to scoop it all up for a steal. Until then, it's worth checking out if you're in Turkey and want to see something bizarre. bizarre. Kowloon Walled City in Hong Kong is straight up nuts. Back in the day, over 33,000 people were crammed into this tiny area, smaller than a city block. I'm talking like walls of apartments piled 30 stories high with zero regulation. It was the definition of lawless, crime rings, drugs, illegal businesses, you name it. Crazy enough, no government really controlled it either, since it was stuck between British Hong Kong and China. Eventually, they were both like, hey, this is out of hand, and started clearing everyone out over 5 years. By 1993, it was leveled. But check out the drone footage of the ruins today. You can still see the foundations of crazy 300+ interconnected buildings just sitting there. Next, we go to the abandoned village of Al Madam in the UAE. It's literally just an hour outside Dubai, one of the richest cities on the planet. But then bam! You come across these crazy abandoned houses and buildings slowly being swallowed by the desert. No one knows for sure why everyone disappeared from here so fast they left everything behind. But locals tell some wild stories. Apparently, there's this jinn or demon named Duwais who haunts the place with cat eyes and machetes for hands. Others say it was the insane sandstorms. But another explanation lies in the village's lack of electricity and water, which may have been built as an attempt by the government to settle the UAE's traditionally nomadic Bedouin population. Ultimately, the Bedouins may have returned to their ancestral way of life, leaving the doors open behind them. Either way, wandering through the empty homes and mosques with the sands creeping back in is super eerie. It's definitely worth adding to your bucket list if you find yourself in Dubai. Alright, you thought the other places were creepy? Wait till you hear about the Isla de las Muñecas in Mexico. This messed up abandoned doll island will haunt your nightmares, I swear. Floating in a lake near Mexico City, it's covered in hundreds of little doll parts just hanging from the trees. The crazy backstory is that a dude named Don Julian lived there years ago and started finding dolls after a young girl drowned. They say he hung them as offerings to please her ghost. Then, in 2001, guess what happened? Don Julian drowned in the same lake. Now, locals claim the dolls are possessed by both their spirits. No way you'll catch me going there alone at night. Just looking at the photos of those mangled doll faces gives me chills. So let us know in the comments which of these abandoned places surprised you the most. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Also, press the bell icon for instant notifications so that you never miss a video from Factastic Trivia.